Have you ever looked at something that seems really simple on the surface, like, I don't know, one of those drawings your kid brings home from school? And at first, it's just like, okay, a drawing, right? But then you kind of start noticing the little details, the choices they made with the colors, or like how they drew the eyes. It's kind of like that with what we're diving into today, this children's book called Bike Boy.
You hit the nail on the head with that analogy. When you first sent me that research document, the Byte Boy Research Document Plan it was called. The thing that really struck me was that we're talking about a 32-page children's book, right? Recommended for, what, 4 to 6-year-olds?
Yeah, preschool to grade 1.
Right, exactly. But then it's being looked at through this like grade 6 literacy lens. And that's the puzzle we're going to try to put together today. What makes this book worth that kind of deep dive?
It's like there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, definitely. Way more than just a few pages and some pictures. So let's jump in. We've got Bike Boy by Jane Considine, illustrations by Mark Stanley. And one of the things that jumps out right away is the language. Like, there are a lot of made-up words. Why do you think an author would do that? Especially for such young readers.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, what the research points out is that this isn't just like random silliness,
Yeah.
This playful language, these invented words, it's all very intentional. It's about getting kids really involved in the reading process. When they stumble across a word they've never seen before, it makes them think. They become little detectives trying to decipher the meaning, and that keeps them engaged.
Makes them active participants.
Exactly. It's not just passively absorbing the words.
So it's encouraging them to think about language itself.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, the book was published back in 2012 by a company called Mogzilla, which, by the way, what a fun name for a kid's book publisher. Then there was another illustrated edition in 2013. We said it's aimed at that preschool to grade 1 audience. But you mentioned something interesting earlier. You said that knowing a bit about the author, Jane Considine, kind of makes this book fascinating for a much wider audience.
Oh, yeah, that's key. See, a lot of people might just see this as a simple children's book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Jane Considine isn't just some random children's author. She's actually a highly respected education consultant. She's been in the field for over 25 years, and her focus is literacy in primary schools. So knowing that, it's no wonder educators and people interested in how kids learn language would be interested in this book. You can analyze it on a much deeper level.
It's like looking under the hood of a really well-designed toy. There's a lot of thought that went into it. And, for folks who like to read digitally, it's available as an ebook, too. Now, one thing the research document keeps mentioning is that the story is poignant and deals with life's ups and downs. That's not something you always expect from a short children's book.
Right. You would think a 32-page book for little kids would be pretty straightforward, maybe even a bit, I don't know, superficial.
Yeah.
But the fact that this research plan keeps highlighting the emotional depth and the idea that it tackles, the complexities of life, it definitely suggests there's something more profound going on here. It makes you wonder how you even begin to communicate those big ideas, the tougher stuff in life to very young children, and do it in a way that's meaningful. It's a challenge for any writer.
Right, and it makes you want to untack that challenge, see how it's done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the star of the show is, of course, Bike Boy. Straightforward name. Tells you right away what's important to him, right?
Bikes, obviously.
Yeah, bikes and cycling, exactly. But that's kind of all we get from the summaries. No details about his personality, what he looks like, anything like that.
Yep, that's what the research plan notes, too. Just the name, no extra frills.
So why do you think the author chose to go that route? Like, just the bare minimum in terms of description?
Well, the research plan suggests it's all about maximizing relatability.
Yeah.
By not giving Bike Boy a bunch of specific traits, Considine basically makes him a blank slate.
So any kid reading the story can see themselves as Bike Boy.
Exactly. It's really common in books for this age group. You want the main character to be someone any kid can connect with.
Makes sense. And it seems like Bike Boy really is the main character. I mean, no other characters are really mentioned in the summaries we have.
That's another interesting point. The research document picks up on that, too. It seems like the story is really focused on Bike Boy's journey, what he sees, what he experiences. That's probably why we don't really hear about any other characters. Especially in such a short book, you really have to streamline things, Keep the spotlight on the main idea, the main character's emotional arc.
Right. You can't have too many distractions in 32 pages. But wait a minute. The book, IS, categorized under juvenile fiction family parents. So maybe there is some family element in there, even if it's not front and center.
Oh, good catch. Yeah, that's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? It could be that the family is there in the background. Maybe they influence Bike Boy in some way. Or maybe the unexpected place where he makes his discovery has something to do with his family.
Yeah.
We'd have to read the book to know for sure.
Yeah. Intriguing. Okay, so we know Bike Boy has this, like, huge goal. He wants to find out about everything.
Ambitious kid.
Right. And this goal takes him on a long journey, a journey that, as we said, includes all the ebb and flow of life, the good times and the bad. And in the end, he finds what he's looking for. But get this, in an unexpected place. What do you make of all that?
Okay, so let's unpack that. We have this ambitious kid, driven by curiosity, wants to know it all, and it sends him on this journey, which importantly isn't just a smooth ride. It's got those ups and downs, like real life, right?
Real life for everyone, but especially for kids just figuring things out.
Exactly. And then he finds what he's looking for, but not where you'd think. That unexpected place is really key. It could be saying a lot of things, right? Like maybe it's about the importance of paying attention to the little things.
Or that sometimes the most profound answers are right in front of you.
Exactly. You don't always have to travel to the ends of the earth to find what you're looking for.
Maybe it's more about the journey itself than the destination.
Could be. And we also have that word poignant again. Like there's this real emotional depth to the story, even though it's short and simple. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I think it might have to do with how it introduces the idea of growth.
Yeah.
Like Bike Boy goes through these challenges, these ups and downs, even though they're probably depicted in a simple way. It shows that difficulties are a part of life, and that by going through them, you can actually learn and grow, become more resilient. That's a powerful message for kids, but also for anyone, really.
And even if those challenges seem small to us, to a kid, they can feel huge.
Oh, absolutely. Their world is different. Their perspective is different.
And it's not just about overcoming the bad stuff, right? It's about appreciating the good stuff, too. The whole ebb and flow.
Right. It's about finding a balance, seeing the beauty in both. And even though we keep talking about this long journey, it's only a 32-page book, so clearly this isn't some epic adventure across continents or anything.
Mhm. Yeah, it must be more about how significant this journey is for Bike Boy personally, the impact of what he finds.
That's it. The long journey is more about his inner experience, the distance he covers emotionally, intellectually. That's what makes it long, even though the book itself is short.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the big ideas and themes in the book. We've already touched on a few. But let's start with that really unique, playful language, all those made-up words. How does that tie into how young children learn?
Well, first of all, it's fun,
Ah.
right? And when kids are having fun, they're more likely to engage with whatever it is they're doing. But it's more than just that. This kind of playful language actually helps develop some really important skills, like phonological awareness.
Which is...
Oh, sorry. Phonological awareness is basically the ability to recognize and play with the sounds in words. It's crucial for learning to read and spell. So when kids encounter these made-up words, they have to really think about the sounds, break them down.
So they're not just memorizing words, they're understanding how sounds fit together to make words.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it sparks their curiosity about language, makes them think, hey, I can play with words too. I can invent my own. That's a powerful thing.
Absolutely. It turns reading into a much more active and engaging experience. And beyond the language itself, there's that really strong theme of exploration and discovery.
Yeah.
Bike Boy's whole quest is driven by that desire to learn everything.
Right. And that's an important thing to nurture in kids, that natural curiosity. This book celebrates that. It says, hey, wanting to learn and explore is awesome. It makes it
Right.
cool.
Makes it an adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, there are the ups and downs he encounters, which highlight the themes of resilience and perseverance. He faces challenges, but he keeps going. Doesn't give up.
And that's such a valuable life lesson, right? To learn that setbacks are normal. They happen to everyone. But
Yeah.
it's about how you deal with them. You pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going.
Right. It builds character.
Exactly. And the research document connects all these themes to the book's subject categories, which I think is really interesting.
Oh, right. Let's talk about that. So one category is social themes, new experience. How does that tie in with Bike Boy's journey?
Well, think about it. Buck Boy's out there exploring, right? He's bound to encounter new things, new people, new situations, things that are unfamiliar to him.
So he's stepping outside of his comfort zone.
Yeah. And that can be a little scary, but also really exciting. It's how we learn and grow as people by interacting with things that are different from us.
It broadens our horizons.
Exactly. And then there's the family parents category. We talked about how it's not clear how big a role family plays in the story, but even if it's subtle, it could still tie into these social themes.
Right, like maybe his family encourages his curiosity or helps him through those ups and downs.
Right. Family provides that foundation, that support system. And then there's growing up journeys and PSHE, personal, social, health, and economic education. What do you think about those connections?
It really reinforces the idea that this book is about more than just a physical journey. It's about personal growth, emotional intelligence, learning how to navigate the world and your place in it.
Yes. And that poignancy we keep coming back to, it probably comes from seeing Bike Boy go through that growth, those life lessons. It's a reminder that even in a simple children's book, you can find these really universal, relatable themes.
It's amazing how much depth can be packed into such a short book. Now, if someone really loves Bike Boy, what other kinds of books might they enjoy? The research plan had some cool suggestions.
Yeah, it did. First off, it's worth checking out other books by Jane Considine herself, like Computer Dad and The Last Straw.
Sticking with the same author is always a good bet.
It is. If you enjoy their style and the themes they explore, why not dive into more of their work?
Makes sense. What about, the theme of overcoming difficulties?
Oh, yeah. If that's what resonated with someone, A Chair for My Mother is a fantastic book that explores resilience in a way that's really powerful for young readers.
And for those who are really drawn to Bike Boy's quest for knowledge, anything about exploration and discovery.
Absolutely. Moonshot. The Flight of Apollo 11 is a great example. It captures that same sense of wonder and the thrill of learning new things.
And of course, we can't forget about that playful language. Any other books that experiment with words in a similar way?
Oh, tons. Dr. Seuss is a classic, of course. Mr. Brown, Can Moo, Can You is all about playing with sounds. And there's Do Is Talk, which basically uses an entirely made-up language.
Sounds fun. The research document also mentioned that Bike Boy is sometimes categorized alongside books like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Feast, and The Princess and the Pea. Pretty diverse group there. What you think connects them all?
That's a good question. I think what they all have in common is a focus on a child's experience. Whether it's a journey, a challenge, a new discovery, it's all about how these experiences shape who they are and how they see the world. And they all likely have those underlying PSHE themes, that personal and social development.
So even though they're very different stories on the surface, they share that core focus.
Exactly.
Okay, before we wrap things up, let's circle back to Jane Considine. We know she's not just making up words for fun. She's got this deep understanding of how children learn language. Can you talk a bit more about her background and expertise?
Sure. Jane Considine has dedicated her career to helping young children become better readers, writers, and spellers. She's been doing this for over 25 years, working directly with primary schools.
So she has a ton of practical experience.
Yeah, and she doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk.
Yeah.
She's written these fantastic professional development books for teachers, The Right Stuff, Hooked on Books, The Spelling Book. They're really influential and widely used. She's all about making a real difference in the classroom.
So clearly she knows what she's doing. So how does that connect to Bike Boy, specifically to those interesting language choices? It can't just be a coincidence, right?
Definitely not. Knowing her background, it's clear that those made-up words are a deliberate teaching tool. She's using them to encourage kids to play with language, to become more aware of the sounds and words. And that, as we talked about, is so important for developing strong literacy skills.
It's like she's sneaking in some really valuable learning opportunities under the guise of this fun, whimsical story.
Exactly. That's the brilliance of it. Bike Boy is a perfect example of how you can make learning enjoyable. It doesn't have to feel like a chore. And, it's worth noting that she's also known for being a really engaging speaker. So that probably translates into her writing, too. She knows how to make things fun and interesting.
So it's not just educational, it's entertaining.
Right. It's a winning combination.
Okay, let's wrap up our deep dive into Bike Boy. What are the key things we've learned about this book?
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's so much more than just a cute story about a kid on a bike. It's a carefully crafted experience designed to engage young readers on multiple levels. There's the obvious, the story itself, the adventure, the unexpected discovery. But then there's this whole other layer of language play, which is subtly teaching kids about how language works. And it's all brought to life by an author who really knows her stuff when it comes to early literacy.
It's like this little unassuming book is actually a powerful tool for sparking a love of reading and language.
Absolutely. It shows how even seemingly simple stories can have a profound impact on young minds.
And that's a great reminder for all of us, even those of us who are, well, past the picture book stage. Maybe we should all revisit some of our favorite childhood books with fresh eyes, see what new things we can discover. What do you think, listener? Have you ever gone back and reread a book you loved as a kid? Did you see it differently? Let us know.